So my stepmom, she's pretty evil. She wants my disabled brother to move out of the house because she's about to have another baby, and she says she wants room for her growing family. It's ridiculous. So I say, no, I'll move out of the house, my brother can stay. Well, she wasn't having it. I wonder if that's because I'm the breadwinner of the family. I think it is.
Hey guys, I'm new to this type of app, so I hope I don't do anything wrong while expressing my situation. I really need your advice as I don't have anyone in my family whom I can really rely on. Well, this involves my mother and her boyfriend. I've seen my mother reading stories from the internet, so I'll be anonymous here for personal reasons. The situation was created around my brother Luke. He's disabled and sensitive, and because of his disability, he always blames himself and holds himself accountable for anything bad that happens with us. I'm 22 and female, and Luke lives with my mother. My father divorced her and left us. He lives in a different state now, and he left us when Luke was only 4 and I was 12. Well, Luke is involved in their separation. My parents blamed him for that, but I don't think it has anything to do with him. Luke was not always disabled. He was run over by a car when he was 4. He was in a coma for 2 months and one of his legs were smashed and it was basically beyond repair. They had to go ahead to amputate it. While he was in the coma, my parents were arguing with each other, and I mean absolutely nonstop. They were blaming each other for their incident, saying the other was supposed to be in charge, and if I remember correctly, they were both busy arguing about some silly stuff when the accident happened. You know, when Luke actually went and woke up from the coma after just about 2 months, one of his legs was already missing and our parents were separated by then. Later on, they went and got a divorce. They didn't want me to witness those things, so they sent me to my grandparents' house. Both of us were surprised by the outcome completely, and I thought they would be more gentle with Luke as he went through a lot and he was only 4 years of age, but both of them were busy with their ego. However, my mother got custody of us and I moved back with her. My father was allowed to see us every other weekend, but he chose to build his new family rather than stick by our side. You see, after the divorce, my mother was completely a different person. She was always drunk, and inside of her drunken state, she used to curse Luke for ruining her life. Luke was still recovering, but she did not care about that. She got out of the shock of the accident, but she ignored him, and whenever there were people around her, she would lament about her cursed child. I felt bad for Luke. I was feeling guilty for not being there to save him. I realized how unfair the world had turned out for that little soul. I apologized to him, and I swore to protect him forever. My grandparents gave my mom the money right after the accident to give Luke a prosthetic leg, but my mom spent all of that on expensive alcohol. After a few months, I visited my grandparents and they casually asked me how Luke was doing with his new leg. I was confused and asked them what they meant by that. When they explained, I told them that my mom did not give any such thing to Luke and told them I had no idea where the money is now. My grandparents confronted her, and when she admitted that she spent all of it on alcohol, my grandpa gave her an ultimatum of 2 months to give him a prosthetic leg. You see, she had put her hands into her savings to do so. By the way, my grandparents are my mom's parents. My father's side, the grandparents there, had stopped talking to us after the divorce. However, as mom had to put her hand into her savings, she was mad at Luke, as according to her, that happened all because of him. You know, completely after that, she went on to stop drinking completely. Well, that's a good thing, I guess, but she started sleeping around a whole lot. Basically, she was always unavailable as a mother, so I had to take the place. I took care of Luke like my own child, and you can tell I basically raised him. He has countless dreams that were suppressed by the constant nagging of my mother. I knew I had to work hard to help him out. His prosthetic leg helped him out a lot, and after a month of practice, he was able to walk independently without my support. That gave me lots of support as well, and I was able to focus on my studies properly. I was only 12 to 13 then, and I was not old enough to get a job. So I had to focus on my studies more to make sure that I would provide something for Luke. I could not wait to grow a bit older so I could get a part-time job, and Luke could ask me for his small needs instead of my mom. Luke loves comic books, But whenever he asks Mom to give him one, she just scolds him, saying he's born to milk out her money. I get angry at her, which is why I was adamant about earning money. Luke was emotionally fragile, and I was to blame for it. I tried my best to stay beside him, murmuring sweet words while comforting him. Amongst all, one incident left a huge scar on his head. You see, Luke was capable of taking the bus to school by himself. In the morning, his journey to school is usually busy, and sometimes people have to stand too. Luke never usually had a problem with this, as he was familiar with the driver and some passengers as well. They knew his condition. When seats for disabled and older people are full, people offer Luke their seat. He always accepts because balancing is hard, especially during rush hour. One morning while sitting, a middle-aged lady next to him said that, he should not be sitting there because he was young and should stand. She was reserving the seat for her friend who was getting on in a few stops. Luke decides to ignore her, as it was not the first time somebody had said that to him. Her friend gets on the bus and the lady told him to get up. This time more rudely, but he didn't move. He didn't budge. He politely said he's disabled and he deserved to sit here too. But the lady wasn't having it. She said that Luke was faking it. Luke knows that he has a right to the seat and doesn't feel the need to prove his disability by pulling up his trousers. When the bus driver got involved, he told the lady to stop harassing Luke or get the heck off this bus. Well, she refused, so the driver made her leave. At dinner, our mom said Luke was rude and should have given up his seat. She blamed his condition on his own recklessness and said that she did not pay for a prosthetic leg for him to act disabled. I intervened, reminding her that he was only 4 when it happened, and it did not matter who was supposed to look after him. It was both their fault, and said that it happened because of their ignorance. Oh boy, that triggered my mom. It was like a floodgate that I opened, and she trashed about how it was me who was ignorant, and it was Luke's stupidity that caused him to lose the leg. She was drunk again, and started throwing tantrums towards us, saying things like if that accident never happened, she would still have a husband, and said she wished that he was never born. Well, that hit Luke like a truck. My mom said this to his face, that she didn't want his existence, and his birth would ruin her. Luke went into depression after that, and you know what? I was so shocked. I could have never imagined she would be this rude to him. However, gradually, Luke got out of that depression. He wanted to be a writer, and he got a newfound happiness in that. As years went by, I became the main provider of the family. I was doing a job along with my studies, and my mom sobered up a little when she realized both of us were not dependent on her financially. Mom and Luke's interactions were almost non-existent, but I was happy that she was not rude to him anymore. Instead of sleeping around with different strangers, she was dating a guy for a while, and by judging her attitude, I could tell that she was happy with the relationship. I was happy for her too. I was paying rent, bills, and groceries, and to be honest, I didn't mind. All I wanted was to have a healthy home, a nice environment, and Luke stayed at home most of the time, and he busied himself by writing. So, a healthy environment was necessary. I was sure that if Mom stayed like this, I would not hesitate to work more for the family. One thing I've noticed is that my mother never actually wants to acknowledge the fact that I am providing for the family. She would just bring out some expenses that she did for her boyfriend's money and say that it was hers. Not that I mind, but I pointed it out because it did look weird. After about a year, I became a therapist. I always wanted to be one, and after watching Luke, I wanted to help many others who were facing a similar situation. My mother, on the other hand, brought her boyfriend into our house without informing us and said that he would be living in our house from now on. Well, I was confused with the situation as to how she could take some big steps without taking our opinion. However, I could not turn them back, as I could tell that the guy was the reason why Mom was happy. So both of us stayed silent. To be honest, I thought the guy would cooperate with me in the expenses now, and I don't know. Turned out he had a low-wage job and could only help me with pennies. I was okay with that because none of us knew what would click and when it would click. I was earning money without the thought of saving it for my brother, but now I was feeding and paying bills to 4 people, including me. The situation is that yesterday my mother announced that she's pregnant. I was happy and all, but at the dining table she said that we would need space for the baby. I don't know what she was referring to, maybe a new home. I still don't know that much money to buy a whole house. My brother said he eavesdropped on her conversation with the boyfriend and heard that she was talking about moving someone out of the house. No matter what she's planning, I think if it's about moving someone out, it would be me, as I'm older and I'm an adult. I was staying at the house for Luke only. If I had to move out, I will make sure that Luke is safe. But Luke is saying that they're throwing him out of the house as she hates him the most. If this is true, I think that both of us should move out. My mother cannot hold anything in herself, and I'm sure if she's planning something, she'll disclose that anytime soon. But Luke is getting anxious day by day because my mom can just pounce on him any day now. How should I confront him and just comfort him in this situation? Because I also have this intuition that something bad is waiting for us. What should I actually do, guys? Like, how should I deal with my mother? I seriously could use some advice. Update number 1. Hey guys, so it's update time, right? I'm here with bad news, and I need your advice as soon as possible. By the way, some of you were calling me out that I ignored my mother's mental state and only sided with my brother. Some said that I was old enough at the time to understand the situation and I should have comforted her when she was going through her divorce. Guys, I think you missed the part where I said I was sent to my grandparents' family when that happened. When I came back, they were already separated. I was given so much bad news at the same time, I was shocked to even react to it. My dad and mom never had a peaceful relationship before the incident. My dad was tired of her shenanigans, and they used to fight about random stuff, and, well, someone said my brother was the triggering point of the divorce. But in reality, a simple object like a toothpick could have been the one that triggered their fight. However, I've noticed a lot of people making assumptions about what happened when Luke had an accident. Sorry for not giving a detail. I was desperate to write about their important parts. Guys, anyways, here's what happened. Mom and Dad were home while Luke played at our fenced-in front garden. Although we were taught how to cross the road very safely, we often ignored the rules since our quiet street had very little traffic, if I'm being completely honest with you. It's a small side street with a dead end, so only residents and their visitors drive there. When Luke saw his friend coming from across the street, he called out and rushed between two parked cars without looking left. And then a car was right there and the driver did not have time to react. Moving to the update. It's been a couple weeks since my last update, and as I said, Mom has spilled out her motive. Let me explain what happened. The boyfriend and Mom both made our lives unbearable. They live in their own world all the time and only acknowledge our presence when they need something. Her boyfriend doesn't even give money for family expenses, and sometimes he brings things like ice cream, fruit, snacks, but all of them were only for my mom and himself. I know he's loving and caring about my mother, and I should be thankful for that, but we live in the same house and it looks weird when we eat at the same dining table and they're having something else than us. My mom, day after day, is being pushy towards everyone. If she wants something, she'll breathe only until she gets it. Well, she got angry and said that I was not considering her child as a family, and her boyfriend also provided a lot in this family household. She successfully guilt-tripped me by saying that I could not consider her child as a family, so I used my money, which was kept for Luke's ukulele, and got a crib. Incidents like this were usual in my household. I was going along with them for the sake of happiness of my mom, but things turned down when Luke told me that my mother asked him how long he would be living with them. I confronted my mom and asked her what this is about. My mom said that Luke should move out for his own good. She said that I'm holding him back and he's old enough to live on his own. I told her that he was not even an adult yet, and if I was holding him down, he should be the one telling me that. I warned her to never bring up that topic once again, or else I will not let anyone live in peace. She caved in for now, but I noticed that she and her boyfriend had been keeping a distance from us. One day, the boyfriend came and said that I'm heartless for screaming at my mom in her vulnerable state. Did I do anything bad? I'm confused if I should apologize to her or not. Guys, let me ask you this. What in the world would you do? Update number 2. Hey guys, well, updating it about 3 weeks to be exact. Wow, I can't believe the responses to this. Thank you for taking your time and commenting, especially thanks to those who sent supportive messages for my brother. There isn't really any different news, it's just my mom being frantic more and more with the passing of time. And whenever I tried to comfort her, she would say that it's her hormones causing this. I didn't ask her for forgiveness, as I was sure I wasn't doing anything wrong. I did stand up for my brother, and I will do it again if I need to. Sorry to disappoint you guys who were suggesting to kick them out. I can't do that. She's pregnant, and it will morally affect me. However, she's being more and more rude towards my brother. Whenever I'm not around, she literally forgets about his existence. About a few days ago, I went to a conference in another city for 2 days, and when I came back, I saw Luke was alone. My mother and her boyfriend went on a trip, leaving Luke alone without any money or food, and I had instructed my mom and her boyfriend about the medicines Luke needed. When Luke sits too long, he gets unbearable cramps in his amputated leg. As he loves riding, he often sits for hours without even realizing it. So the medicine were for emergencies like that. I was angry at them and I called her boyfriend and confronted him. He said my mother was feeling cramped up in the small space, so she left. They also informed me that they took my emergency savings for a vacation. When they came back from said vacation, they acted like nothing happened, and I told them the money in the savings was for my brother's medicine and that they need to pay it back. However, my mother snapped by saying I'm not the one providing for my family. I'm not the only one. Her boyfriend does too. So if any of us need to take money, though, they're not obligated to inform to pay it back. She knew it was for Luke, but she still did it. I know that they use my money and claim it as theirs, but I never thought my mother would steal. However, they are none of my concern. It's been a few days since the incident happened, and for the last couple of days my brother has been acting weirdly around me, and it's starting to really bother me. I asked him and he said nothing happened to him, but it was evident that he was avoiding me. My mind is all messed up because of that, and I don't know how to get him to talk to me. I'm really worried about what's bothering him. It seems like something has happened, but he's refusing to tell me about it. So I can use some advice on how to get him to open up. Please. Update number 3. I'm updating this, guys, 1 week. Guys, you won't believe what I just found out. I warned my mother and her boyfriend that my brother could never hear anything about moving out of the house ever again. But they were provoking him all along behind my back, and I'll take care of Luke my whole life if he wants. Many of you think that I'm willing to give him everything and I'm pampering of a nature towards him, and it's holding him back. Well, you're wrong. I'm the one who influenced him to pursue his passion for riding. I assured him that I was there beside him and would help him no matter what. Just because of the incident, he had lost his father and mother figure from his life, so I took their place. What's wrong with that? But I had no idea my mother was manipulating him behind my back. I told you in my last update that he was acting weirdly around me, and one day I could not take it anymore and kind of forced him to talk to me. He couldn't hold it anymore and broke down in tears when I stated that I'm not a good sister, which is why he's avoiding me. He said his mother said that because of him I'm suffering and not living my life the way that I should. She told him that he only ruined a perfect marriage for his recklessness, but also ruined my life. She told him he was a coward for telling everything to me and he should man up and use that prosthetic leg that she got for him and walk out that door. So he was thinking about running away from me and did not want to bother me anymore. I didn't know what to do. I hugged him and said that I would not be able to live if he did that. I assured him that even though his missing leg was hard on him, it helped to open the real faces of monsters like our parents. I told him he inspired me to work more for a better future. He seemed to calm down a bit, and my mother is out of town at the moment with her boyfriend, and I'm just waiting for them to return so that I can confront her. This time I won't think about my morals and I'll put an end to it. Final update. Hey guys, it's been a month. Sorry for the delay, but there's a lot of things I need to share. When they entered the house after the trip, I did not even let them settle. I was in too much of a rage. I stormed towards them and asked why the hell did she do that to my brother. She thought my brother had a weak heart and he would buy her words and leave, and she said her baby is arriving anytime soon, and they need a space for it. She said my brother is using his disability to take advantage of all of us and he needs to move out. I told her if they really wanted a space for her baby, why don't I move out? I'm an adult and financially independent, so I should be able to move out. She was shocked and did not expect this from me. She then changed her reason and said my brother is a bad omen in the house. And because of him and her relationship with her husband got ruined and I still don't have a boyfriend. I told her then I would move out to take my brother with me. Then there would be no bad omen and she would get more space for her beloved baby. She knows that without me and my money, her family won't exist, so she's being hard on a minor. She changed her reason again and said I'm being heartless for leaving her when she was about to give birth. She said my brother already has a prosthetic leg, and she paid for it, so he has a reason to act disabled no more. Duh. I've had enough of her paying for a prosthetic leg argument. I threw the money she spent on that dang leg in her face and ordered them two to get out of my home. She told me the house was still getting rented under her name, which was simply not true. Once she destroyed some properties of the house and she needed to pay for it. Just to avoid it, she asked me to make it under my name. Out of frustration, she forgot about it. However, she has no points to argue right now, and I told them they have to leave the house in 3 days, and firmly said that there was, nothing that could change my mind. Their guilt-tripping of the unborn did not work as well because they were the parents, not me. They left after a few days. They were probably living at her boyfriend's house now, and I know it's cramped up, but it's none of my fault. If they have to raise a baby, they have to make it work. So without my money to fund them, they're living a pretty miserable life right now, and I guess they deserve it. I know you guys will call me, Satan, for kicking her out in this state, but to be honest, I don't care. I know her boyfriend has a house somewhere in the city, so I'm not leaving her in the street. Both of us need to be away from her. We had suffered enough, but not anymore. Anyways, thank you for the comments, everybody, throughout all this. Goodbye.